2026 Bermuda Run Town Council meeting to order. And we have 4 council members here today, which represents a quorum. Thank you, everybody. And if you are able, please stand and join in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. It is the intent of the Town Council to make solemn the proceedings of this meeting and the business brought before the governing board, to offer the opportunity for a reflective moment of silence. Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. And now, Mr. Williams, the Bermuda Run Code of Ethics statement, please.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, Council. Pursuant to North Carolina General Statutes 168-86 and 160D-109, and the Town of Bermuda Run Code of Ethics policy adopted on November 9, 2010, and further endorsed on August 9, 2022, I would ask each of you before you adopt the agenda if there's any actual, potential, or perceived conflicts of interest with respect to any matter on the proposed agenda, which will come before the Town Council for a vote at this meeting tonight. If so, please speak up and let the Council know at this time before the agenda is adopted. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
And now, adoption of the agenda. The council has an opportunity to review the agenda. Are there any revisions, or do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve as submitted.
Second.
And all in favor? No opposed? Thank you very much. And now, approval of the 2026 July 14th council meeting minutes. Council has an opportunity to review the minutes. Are there any revisions, or do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you very much. Well, welcome again, everybody. We have a really informative and timely agenda for you today. And first, it's good to see you, including some familiar faces. Benita Feeney, our chair of our county commissioners, welcome, as always. I see some members of the Davie Women's Auxiliary out there. I'd like to welcome them. And Melinda Zeliga, a former councilman, just walked in. Thank you, Melinda. And familiar faces from Kinderton and beyond, so welcome, everybody. Here are just a few highlights, what's coming down the pike this evening. We are more than pleased to welcome Tiffany Jones, a recent honors graduate of the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, and a prestigious Lead for North Carolina Fellow. More about Tiffany will be coming in just a few moments. Then we have 2 amazing businesswomen and entrepreneurs who have agreed to present this evening. Each are integral members of our community and our county, and just all around incredible people. We have Jessie Folger, Executive Director of Habitat for Humanity of Davie County, and Stephanie Hearn, Publisher and Editor of Stroll Bermuda Run. They are here, and thank you for being here. Then we have a very important, very timely presentation of the results of the speed and traffic calming study that covered Kinderton and Ivy Circle of Mr. Bradley Reynolds of STV, major North American professional firm, is here, and you'll hear more about them later. And then we'll hear updates from our town manager and our town council comments. There's a rumor that AI data centers might be mentioned. And so let's get started. It's such a pleasure to introduce Tiffany, as I just mentioned. She graduated from UNC at Chapel Hill in May as an honors student. Her majors are global studies and political science with a minor in conflict management. She started with her fellowship with the town last Monday and is already part of the family. Her resume is beyond impressive. We'll get a little bit more about that, and her attitude, commitment, and ethics are commendable. So, Andrew, would you like to say more about our esteemed fellow?
So, Madam Mayor, members of council, I know we have spoken of Ms. Jones at length, and it is just my pleasure to introduce her personally to each of you, to the town of Bermuda Run. As you mentioned, she comes to us as a lead for North Carolina through the UNC School of Government. During her time here, she's going to work along with town staff on some initiatives and things that we're going to help strengthen our municipal operations, as well as some enhance our services for our residents. We are just so welcome to have her to join the Bermuda Run team, and we look forward to the valuable contributions that she will make to not only to us as staff, to you as council and mayor, but also to our residents and our community. So just could not be more happy. And Tiffany, I don't know if you would like to get up and say a few words, but welcome so much to be part of Town of Bermuda Run.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. Again, I'm Tiffany Jones. I'm really excited to be serving as your fellow for the next 10, 11 months. I originally applied to the LFNC program because honestly, I was not as familiar with local government processes, and that's given all of my experiences that I have had, and even being a political science major, local government, completely different world for me, and I don't think that should be the case, and I think this program is a really good chance for me to get a firsthand experience in local government and all the behind-the-scenes work. So really, thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, you'll be hearing from Tiffany in person in future presentations and a lot more as we go through the 11 months. We're so excited. So now I'd like to welcome Jesse Folger to the podium. Jesse, as I mentioned, Executive Director of Habitat for Humanity in Davie County, and I'll turn it over to you.
Awesome. Well, thank y'all so much for having me this evening. We're super excited to be here. It honestly feels like yesterday that I was here speaking, but I think it's been about two and a half years. So thanks so much for having us. My name is Jessie. I'm the Director of Habitat Davie. Been here since 2022. And we have been doing lots of wonderful things here in the county and super excited to continue doing them and tell you a little bit about them this evening. Just to start, like I always like to, is who we are, our mission. Seeking to put God's love into action, Habitat for Humanity of Davie County brings people together to build homes, community, and hope. And we have a vision and where everyone deserves a decent place to call home. So what does that mean for us here in the county? What have we been up to? We've been building and repairing homes. That's what you think about probably when you think of Habitat. Since we last spoke back in 2024, we've completed 2 new construction projects, and we have 1 currently under construction. And we've completed 35 critical home repairs, which I'll show you a little bit about here in a minute. And then going forward, from this moment forward this year, we're actually looking to build 3 new construction homes. So that's taking us from an average of about 1 home a year to doing 3, and then doing 25 critical home repairs a year. Those are pretty big goals that we have. The biggest thing for me is making sure that we can do that sustainably. We have lots of wonderful players in place to make these things happen, and we have had the wonderful community behind us, and we want to continue to have that so that we can continue to grow, because the need is obviously great everywhere, but especially here in Davie County. A couple of our projects to highlight. We had just started this project, I think the last time that I spoke. This was Casey's home. And when I say we're building homes, the biggest thing about that is we're building community in the way that we build those houses. So what was really cool to start this project is we started the project with an English as a second language group of students from the Davie-Davidson Community College. They came and actually built the window and door components and the wall plates in the back of our restore, which was really neat. That's that group there, and then Casey's up on the right. And we have volunteers come out then on the rest of the build. Volunteers help us to do the framing, the roofing, the siding, putting in windows, doors, being on our job sites. They're great team building activities for companies to come out and do, for individuals to get involved in with their churches or by themselves. We really try to offer a great experience on our job site so folks can not only learn a little bit, but they're also literally building a house that's going to be there forever for a family out in the community. Then at the end, of course, we have a beautiful home. It takes us about, I'd say, 5 to 6 months to fully complete one of our homes right now. This in particular was a 3-bed, 2-bath over in Moxville. And to tell you what homeownership means to our families, I'm going to play a quick little video because Casey can explain it. Casey and her son can explain it better than myself. And just a little background. Casey was in our program for 2 years, which was a pretty long time. We try and keep it to a year typically for our families to get through our process, the 250 hours that they have to complete with us, the homeowner classes that are required. But in her case, we were still trying to get our footing under us as a nonprofit and rebuild. And so she bared with us through those years. And along the way, she never told her son, Preston, who's now 13, that he was getting a Habitat house or getting a home in general. He thought they were just moving into an apartment. So here is her telling him that.
Mommy's been saying it's the best thing ever. And you've been saying what? What you been saying? It's the best you've ever told a wife?
Last day of school?
The last day of school?
Yeah.
Guess what else?
What?
Look what mommy got for you.
Alright.
You ready? Look, this is our house.
Are you serious?
This is our house.
Are you serious?
Yes. Yes, this is our house.
I thought you were gonna give me a apartment.
No, this is the apartment. Come on. No. This is every time I would say we're going to the apartment. This is our house. Pick your room out. That's my room.
Which one's bigger?
That one.
This one, I mean.
Yeah, All right, come on, I'll show you the rest. This is your bathroom.
Oh, wow. That's a
Come on. Let's go out here and look.
Hey, guys.
Surprise.
What's up, lady?
I love that video. It was very special to be a part of Casey's story. She actually works over here at Davie Medical, so she works in the community, and we actually did a critical repair project on her mom's home a little bit later on in the year, and so that in that same neighborhood which Casey grew up in. So it was just a really full circle moment to have her, and he didn't even ask for that video, but it was just so heartwarming to see. So it really, homeownership, you can tell, really makes a difference in these families' lives. After Casey's project got finished up, we started our next one with Angel's home being built, and you can see we do a lot of fun stuff on the job site. Like I said, framing, trusses, you get to learn some really cool skills out there. At the end of our builds, after the families complete those 250 hours of sweat equity, complete those classes, they're gonna pay for their home through an affordable mortgage, which I'll explain about here in a second. But we have a big celebration at the end. This is a home dedication. This actually completed 3 homes that we built in the Crestwood, Mount View, kind of Mount Ridgemont neighborhood over there outside of downtown Moxville. Casey came back for the dedication. You can see her next to Angel in the middle. And Angel's actually a local school teacher, so those are some of the folks that we kind of serve. And that was a really great day. The mayor spoke. We blessed the house. It was just a really great celebration for the family to get to move in. And Angel closed on her home this past March. And that led us into our next build, which we're actually doing in Coolamy right now for a family out there on Watt Street, right down from the elementary school. We're getting ready to finish that home for Brianna and Michael and their family pretty soon. Hopefully they'll move in September, and that's on the tail end of us already getting a foundation for the next home. So like I said, we're really trying to rev it up, pick it up, so that we can hopefully build those 3 homes this year. What are we doing for these families? We're building hope. We serve first-time home buyers. Our folks must live or work in Davie County for at least a year, meet our minimum income requirements, which varies by household size, but you can see there it's roughly a family of 4 makes between $35,000 and has a cap of making $76,000. That could be a single person having that income coming in. It could be 2 folks coming in with that. They have to have qualifying credit. Stable. Big thing is stable income. We want to make sure that we're setting our families up for success. Unfortunately, I have those conversations a lot with our applicants where they don't qualify because of the stable income piece, or their debt to income ratio is too high. And I have to explain to them, the last thing we want to do is put you in a situation where you're going to be foreclosed on. So we try and set goals with those folks. We get them set up with some HUD counseling through Davidson Home Solutions, where they can kind of counsel with them, maybe come back to us, reapply if they don't qualify. But we really vet our families stringently, just so we make sure we're putting them in good situations. This is just a quick scenario. Ray told me y'all like numbers, so I hope that's true. But this is a little bit about kind of how our mortgage would work. A quick example would be our home's appraised for about $220,000. Let's say the family has an income of $38,000. To be honest, that's where the last 3 homes have been at, with a single mother raising the household. And let's say they have a monthly debt of $250, which they pay on. Maybe it's a car payment, revolving debt, whatnot. We're going to make sure that through our program, they're not going to pay more than 30% of their income towards housing, and their debt to income ratio is not going to be more than 43%. So in this example, we know that we can only sell this $220,000 home to this family for $185,000. And then you can see the breakdown of what the mortgage versus the P&I would be, all that, the taxes and insurance. The way we make this work is we partner with a third-party lender. Lately, it's been First Bank. They will hold a portion of the mortgage at 3% interest. North Carolina Housing will hold $50,000 of the mortgage at 0% interest, and then Habitat Davie will hold $10,000 in order to partner with NCHFA. So those numbers make up the $185,000 that the family's paying on, and that's how we make it affordable. What's left over from the $220 to the $185 is a third mortgage on the home that they don't pay on. And that's how we can make it affordable for the family. Essentially, it's built-in equity. I say it all the time, Habitat kind of serves as that parent, that guardian, someone that's able to help out their family and pay that down payment to make it affordable for the family to be able to get into a home, because a lot of folks can qualify. They can pay $1,000 for rent. They do it already. They pay more than that probably. They can pay $1,000 for a mortgage. It just can't, they don't have that down payment to get there with a bank. So that's kind of a big snapshot of how our mortgages work. Our biggest issue right now is that First Bank is capping what they do with us. So they are gonna cap our number at only helping us out with one home this year, which means I have 2 other homes I got to figure out how to finance. Either finance it through ourselves, where Habitat Davie could possibly be the bank. That would mean that we're waiting on payments to come in each month, and we're not getting that bulk upfront $185 to go build more homes and find more land. So that would maybe not be so great on our end. So we're looking for other banks to partner with on that. But then you see at the bottom, just as like a big picture thing as well, is if we sell our home for $185, we get that money, that's wonderful, but it costs me $160,000 to build the home, which is minimum right now. I'm only profiting $25,000 to go out and build more homes essentially, right? So I will say, since we last spoke, we're no longer having to use construction loans, so we are saving money that way. We're able to pretty much finance ourselves between different fundraisers and the Restore and other avenues of funding we've gotten in. So we have gotten a lot of community support, but to grow and do more, we're only gonna need more. That's new construction in a nutshell. Critical home repairs. Not only do we have our new construction side, but we are out there fixing folks' homes to keep those homes affordable for them in the long run. Because a lot of folks are living on fixed incomes. They are in need of roofs. They have holes in their floors. They need bathroom remodels. This was a couple ladies, Miss Linda and her sister, who lived in this home, who had rotted out floors. We actually did over $10,000 worth of work on her home, between the roof that we did through some grants, the floors that we redid here in the kitchen and in the bedrooms. That is her bed about to fall through that floor right there, and that was what was underneath. It was all rotted out. We also had to put a shower in her home. We do a lot of shower remodels. We find that things have leaked over time, folks haven't caught it, or they're not able to pay for those repairs, and so things get pretty rotted out pretty quick. Lots of mold issues, or they have tubs and need a handicap accessible shower, ADA accessible shower and stuff. We do ramps when folks have no way to get safely in and out of their homes. Get that all fixed up. Lots of weatherization type projects as well. And like I said, we're looking to do about 25 of those, which will be big for us, because we gotta find the funding for it as well on that. But where have we been getting our funding? We have been very lucky to partner with the Davie Women's Auxiliary on many fundraisers throughout the year. Also, the community has come in and showed up in ways that we are just so grateful for. One example of a fundraiser we had recently was our quilt raffle that raised money for our critical home repairs. Mr. Dennis over here lives in Moxville, won our quilt raffle there. And we had a very successful golf tournament last year over in Bermuda Run. That was it was a really fun, exciting day. I just counted, we had right at about 60 sponsors for that tournament, between the companies and individuals that sponsored that. And we also raised right at $50,000, which was huge for us. It went so well that we're doing it again. So maybe a little getting to be short notice, but we'd love for anyone to play in that and support us in that way. We're still taking some sponsors as well, but definitely got to get some players. It's going to be at Oak Valley this time, and it's our Blueprints and Birdies tournament, which we're very excited about. So if you'd like more details, let us know. Not only do we have all these wonderful things that we're doing for our mission, but I'm a firm believer in partnership in the community as well. And so we love to to do things with our fellow nonprofits. I've become really close with Julie Wood over at Impact of the Piedmont. They serve folks with intellectual and disabilities, and they have housing, and they do some like day programs for those folks. And so one thing that we recently did for them was we built a little community area for them to gather in over at some of their apartments in Moxville. So that was a really neat project to partner with her on. We're actually, they just found out that they are having to displace some folks if they don't put in a sprinkler system immediately in some housing that they have in Moxville. So she's working with the state on that. Our part of it is going to be building a riser room for them to house their sprinkler system in. So we're excited to be a part of that as well. And last but not least, hopefully everyone knows about the Restore. This place is becoming a little gathering spot for the community. I see lots of regular faces in there every day. That's my favorite part of getting out of my office and going through the store and seeing folks. We have blood drives there. We have regular volunteers. We have the Davie Women's Auxiliary meetings there. That place I think has become a community staple that we're very proud of. And the biggest purpose of the Restore is to cover all of our overhead and then some, so that when folks do donate, it can go directly into building and repairing our homes and serving families out in the community. How can you help? Volunteer if you want to get on the job site, if you want to be in the Restore, time and talents, any way you think you might want to contribute, I'm here for it. Donate, be a part of our fundraisers, and of course spread the word. If you learned something new here today that you didn't know about Habitat Davie specifically, tell your friends and family about it. So thank you so much for your time.
Awesome.
If you have any questions or anything?
Great job.
Questions and comments for Jesse?
Just thank you for the work that you're doing. I think it's great, and keep up the good work.
Appreciate it.
I did have one question. So first of all, the teams that come, sometimes do businesses come as like part of a team development thing? So is it not just individuals, or just wanted you to give us a sense maybe of the kind of, because this is real world experience people are gaining.
Absolutely, yes. Gildan was out there this past weekend. On Saturday, they sent about 5 employees out. SBA Homes has been out recently as well, a few times. Yes, we've had quite a few Davie County specific groups to come out, which is exciting. It's great team building for them as well, for their companies to come out, and just a free team building opportunity. So yes, lots of great groups.
And you have flyers for the golf tournament over there?
Yep, got flyers, has a QR code, my email, all that good
I know my
stuff.
husband has a team going to
Thank you,
going to
Ray.
play in the golf tournament, so.
Thank
Any
you.
other comments?
Jesse, I'm curious about the financing situation. You said you're having some, First Bank is sort of kind of capping what they're willing to do. Do you have other potential sources for the, that's pretty critical stuff to have the financing about.
It is. That is the most critical. And so I'm talking with a lot of our habitats in our network across North Carolina, because we do have a support organization, Habitat NC, and they're on it
Right.
to try and find another bank to fill in their place, because they capped us, but they capped everyone. And so Piedmont Federal would do 2.5% for our families. The problem with partnering with them possibly would be that we can't use NCHFA funding. So NCHFA has preferred lenders, and they will only work with certain banks. And that $50,000 at 0% is pretty critical.
Yeah.
And so if it maths out right, my math hasn't worked right to do a whole loan at 2.5 versus the 50,000. So, but we, back in the day when Habitat first started, we were the mortgage holder, and we would do 0% interest for the families. It's a little bit more advantageous for us to be able to get a lump sum to go do more and not wait on payment. So yeah, we're talking with other banks in the area, trying to set up meetings, and that really is something that Habitat North Carolina is looking at from a big picture, to try and find some big partnerships for the local affiliates.
Good.
But yeah, we're talking about it. So if you know anybody, be interested. It is because we guarantee the mortgage too. That's the thing, is the bank. I'm not a banker, but I know there's like certain things that they would
Right.
be required of them. I just don't understand what the negative is on their end, or what the hesitation is sometimes. So we're learning. Yep.
Good. Well, thank you for what you're doing.
Yeah,
Yep.
thank you for having me. Awesome.
Thank you so much, Jesse. And now for our second amazing presenter this evening, Stephanie Hearn, publisher and editor of Stroll, Bermuda Run. Welcome, Stephanie.
So you said just push the button in the middle.
Okay. Thank you very much for having me here tonight. My name is Tiffany. I am the publisher and the editor, area director for Stroll magazines. We have not only one in Bermuda Run, we have several others across the Triad as well. But what I like to think of as I am Bermuda Run's #1 cheerleader, because I am the one out there trying to pull in and create storytelling, as we talked about tonight. So I am appreciative of being a part of this Voices of Our Community series tonight. And I like Ray, as Carl was saying, you had to have your glasses. I do too to read. But before I say anything else, I am notoriously a very fast talker, so I apologize in advance if I go too quickly. Feel free to ask me questions as we go through it. But it is my understanding everyone here is from Bermuda Run, right? I mean, from the vast. But so think about in your times when you're here and you pull into your driveways, who's famous for waving at your neighbor and just hurry up into your garage, shutting the garage door, and then that's it, right? That's what we do today. We're a very fast-paced community. So with us and how we really try to help is to stop that from happening. What I thought about this beautiful neighborhood and community of Bermuda Run is modern life makes it shockingly fast-paced. And it's easy to live 50 feet from someone for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, but not really know their story. Carl just told me a minute ago that people actually know him now. Someone told me now they know Ray's story before about what you did, and more about their mayor other than just Ray being the mayor. And so it's important to know more than, oh yeah, well those are the people with the cool Christmas lights, or oh yeah, that's the person who saved my dog when they escaped. And so what Stroll does, and what my role is here, is I started in 2020 with Stroll magazines. And when I first stepped into this role, I started paying close attention to how we interact every day. We live in this era of Ring doorbells, Uber delivery, fast food, DoorDash, all that stuff, and crazy busy schedules. And our primary neighborhood routine is what we just called that garage DoorDash, where you hurry up and you get inside and you do the famous head nod wave to your neighbor and just keep going, oh, please don't stop me, I need to get home, I've got groceries. And so we don't live a covert military mission. We're just fast and we're busy. So Stroll is part of a nationwide network. It is built by the N2 company. The N2 company reaches over 500,000 households across America. And we have about 500 communities, all like Stroll. So if you live in a Stroll community, you're special. So you're special. But my favorite neighborhood, of course, is Bermuda Run. It's the one that I work the most closely with. And see, a neighborhood, it isn't just a collection of a zip code. It's not just a collection of golf cart paths or brick and mortar homes. These stories are made up of the people who live here, and it turns houses into a community. That is the entire reason that Stroll Bermuda Run exists. It was made by two guys out of Wilmington, North Carolina, who were in college, and they actually had a project to do for college. Tiffany, you might understand, and they had to come up, and this is what they came up with. And it literally was a stapled piece of paper like this that went out to people to Porter's Neck in Wilmington. That's how it started. And now look at it today with 500 across the country. But we are not a transactional magazine. We are not here to blast you. Let's see, So we are not here to blast you with ads. We are not here to blast you with a bunch of paper. We are here to turn that neighbor who walks into his dog every morning at 6 a.m. into that resident who had a wild 30-year career in aviation, or replace anonymous house numbers with real human stories that are written by and for the neighbors who live here. I don't create content. You all do. You all create that content. And it brings people together around the kitchen table and on your coffee tables. So when it comes to the business partners and the local story aspect, I'm going to let you in a little behind-the-scenes secret. Putting together a high-quality, perfect bound, full gloss all the way through it magazine is not cheap, as you know. But still, Stroll reaches every single home in Bermuda Run and every business partner that we have completely free of charge. And the way we do that is by those wonderful individual local businesses that advertise inside of Stroll. And so since it does all that, we become so relationship focused. Our business partners love what Stroll does because they feel like it's the first time that they can actually put their business inside of something that they have complete engagement by the reader. And I think across the country, it's felt that way unanimously. But we do look for, because we are so relationship focused, we don't just allow any business in either. We are really specific of who we bring in. I sit down and meet with every single business that advertises. They don't just get to call in and say, hey, I want to run an ad. I'm like, great. When do you want to have coffee? When do you want to jump on a Zoom? Because I want to talk to that person before I send them into your home or before I send you into their business. And so we have 3 things that we really look for. We look for those local commitments, businesses that are committed to this county, businesses like contractors, entrepreneurs, doctors, dentists, however, that care about the community and the residents who live here. We have multiple channel exposure for those business partners. Along with the print magazine, we also have digital exposure. We can help business partners post on social media if they need help with. We have all kinds of things we can help them do. But we really want to know that they want to reinvest locally in this community, in these homes, and that it matters to them. But that's where I kind of need everyone's help here too. If you know a business, if you know a fantastic local business owner who wants to be connected with our neighborhood, or if you know a business that you use personally, tell them about Stroll, spread the word, because word of mouth is how we all grow. And when it comes to our magazines, we are all about the residents here, their families, their pets, their kids, local events, nonprofits. Like Jesse and what they have. And we love being a part of that charity classic tournament last year with them. And so, but in addition to the magazine, we also do local events. We have our Stroll Sips, which is our coffee and conversation. We invite everyone to come out to those. We know it's hard if you have a job to get out from 8:30 to 10 on a Tuesday morning. But now we're starting to do our wine down nights too at Matt's place, which is next door, her new wine shop. We're going to be doing those once a month too, of a wine down hour, 5 to 7. People can come out once a month and just really get to know each other face to face. These are really low-key events that we hold. We don't have like name tags and walking around with a clipboard asking you questions. It's really a very casual setting that we just want to put residents with residents and residents with our good business partners to get face to face. We also do things with the country club. We're a part of their concert in September. We love being a part of the Christmas in Bermuda run that we're doing. Any events that they're out there, Stroll's always here to be a sponsor of if you guys need it. But the final pitch to you guys tonight is that Stroll, and I keep forgetting to use this clicker. So there's just some of our publications that we've had in a little bit. I forgot that we're doing all this. Let's see, here we go. Stroll Conversations. And here. The final call tonight is that it is not my magazine. This is Bermuda Run's magazine. Truly. It is for you all, written by you, for you. You guys are the ones. I'm just the cheerleader that goes back to it. But as that cheerleader, I'm always on the hunt for great stories. We do not have a staff. We have a community. And so those community, that's, if you know someone, nominate a neighbor. If you know someone who has a wild hobby or a crazy cool old car, an incredible career or a heart of gold, tell me, reach out to me, brag a little. If you have a child or a grandchild, it doesn't matter. Can they color in the lines or did they go to Harvard? It doesn't matter. We just want to know and help promote this community with everyone else to build what in today is, I think we traded our front porches for back decks. And I think that people have traded authentic for artificial relationships. You've got your social media. Stroll is here to combat that. We are here to make sure that community is relationship oriented again. Thank you. And one last thing. On this QR code, it is in every single issue that we have. It is a great way to connect with me. My calendar's on that QR code. You can submit articles through that QR code. I think it's on the important phone numbers. There are some goodies in that little bag there for anybody who wants one and extra copies.
Nico, yeah, comments?
Question?
Nico?
A little bit more about the wine night, not just asking for friends.
Okay, asking for a friend. So it is 5 to 7. Let's see. Can I go back with the top one? Oh, it's not. The date's not on there. So I think it's the third Thursday of the month is what we're going for.
Okay.
The coffee is the Yeah, the 18th, and I think it's the 26th, 25th, whatever that Thursday night is, after, the week after, is when we will do it. It is in the new, hold on. To let everyone know. It is in this new issue with Hannah Hager. She is our junior writer. She submits a lot of cute articles. But the Stroll Sips, tell you that exact date, is August 27th. And the coffee is August the 18th. And we're trying to make these standing reservations with Maddie. Maddie loves them that we're doing there at Maddie Cakes. She loves the interaction. And we just love the camaraderie.
Great.
All right.
Yeah, I would just add, at least from my personal perspective, I always enjoy receiving the Stroll magazine monthly. I've learned about families in Kinderton. I've learned about families in Bermuda Run West, and I've learned about families in Bermuda Run East. And then when you see people at the mailbox, or you see them out in public, you kind of feel like that you know them a little bit more on a personal level. I've learned a lot about reading about Madam Mayor
right.
and her husband Carl, who's out and back somewhere. But they have a very impressive background that it was just it's very informative, but I think it presents a form of connection that's a little bit closer as opposed to waving when someone's closing their garage door. So
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
That means that we're doing a good job. That means that these writers, we have many writers in the chairs here, and several some are even across the pond right now. Leanne Joyce, she does a fantastic job getting articles together. But anyone can be a writer. Anyone can send something in. Like I said, Hannah Hager, the lady on the front here, she is a junior writer. She's in, 8th grade, 9th grade now, and sends in articles. Oh, Jenna, what did I say? Hannah, oh no, sorry. Jenna, yes, sorry, wrong person. She was a junior writer. She's
Stephanie,
not.
if someone wanted to submit an article, what kind of lead time do you have to get that into the next edition?
That is a great question. So typically our deadlines are the 5th of the month for the next month's issue. So that 30 days out, we try to, we just passed our deadline for the September issue that we're already working on. And now we are collecting stories for October.
Good. And I guess that if someone would want to do that, they could contact you about word limits, that type of thing.
Absolutely,
first.
yes.
Any kind of artwork that might be needed.
That's right. High resolution photos, because we do print so high in quality, that's one of the struggles to make sure that we get the photos in high resolution too. And so we work with those residents. If someone needs a photographer, we can send one out. A lot of the residents love to send in their own photography. And, but yeah, we love anything and everyone that wants to submit. They can reach out to me or just in that QR code, they can even set up a calendar meeting with me if they want to. And I can talk to them about what's needed, or I can do the interview myself if they need.
Well, Stroll is a real asset for our community,
Absolutely.
so thank you.
You're very welcome.
How many issues are going out each month?
I think, there's 1,600 here?
So it's just all by address or business?
Yes.
If it's within the town, they're going out?
Yes, it only gets delivered to the residents.
Okay.
And then our advertising partners receive a hard copy as well. But we do send out a digital version.
Right.
But by law of email, I can't just send to anyone, so they have to sign up. And I think the publisher's note each month, I say, if you would like to be added to the digital version, please contact me and I can add you to that. But, and that's a great way. And even on our landing page, we have that month's articles out there so that people can go and look at that on our website as well.
Yeah, I just want to add that I know several other communities where Stroll is out there, and N2 is an incredible company, but nobody's doing what you're doing. When I describe to other communities what you do, they're like, we have nothing like that. So I know it's N2, but what you have done in terms of making this a connector, a community, the many events you participate in is just truly unique. And I know since Carl and I were on your last issue, I've gotten emails from several businesses who said they're thrilled to be able to advertise. So that business connection really is incredibly
It is,
important.
and
So-
it's important because that's how it gets delivered to this
Yeah.
community. And thank you for all your kind words. That it really does mean a lot.
Thank you.
And I'm not the only one. These ladies have worked very hard as well.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you. And are there any citizens' comments this evening?
We do. Madam Mayor, we have two individuals signed up to speak.
Okay.
And Mr. Williams will go over the rules and protocols for the...
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Each speaker shall be allowed a total of 3 minutes to speak and shall immediately stop when their 3 minutes are up. When you approach the podium, state your name and address before speaking. The speaker shall address the council as a whole and shall not ask for any verbal exchange back from the council. It's not the intent of the public comment period to require the council to answer any impromptu questions. There shall be no discussion between the speaker and the audience. Your time will be displayed on the screen in front of you and will inform you when there are 2 minutes, 1 minute, and 30 seconds remaining and when your time is up. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
First is Mr. Lenny Ring.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, councilpersons, staff, and neighbors. I thank each of the councilpersons for their service to our community and the mayor. This has been a really feel-good evening. Tiffany, welcome to Bermuda Run. Stephanie, you and Jesse, you bubble every time I see you, and thank you for all that you do for our community. I'm Lenny Ring, and I live at 125 Kilbourne Drive. We're preparing to hear a presentation of the Bermuda Run traffic study. To bring my thoughts into a clearer picture, let me say that Kinderton Village has 3 types of streets. Alleyways, narrow little strips which run behind the homes and are maintained by the Single Family Sub-Association. Number 2, we have 35-foot wide streets comprised of a 23-foot traffic lane and cut-out street-side parking. Number 3, we have 22-foot wide. I believe this happens to be the state minimum to be considered an actual street. Marty, you may be smarter than me on this. With on-street parking allowed on both sides of the street. This study will only speak to type 2 and 3, I believe. Correct? The traffic study didn't do anything in the alleyways in Kinderton Village. I'm not sure if the study will differentiate between the 2 types, although there is a magnitude of difference. Type 2 streets, the 30-foot wide, 35-foot wide streets, were designed by the original developer of the community and have stop signs positioned along the 2 main arteries at approximately 300 foot apart. Type 3 streets, Kilbourne Drive, Archer, Pendleton, was redesigned after the 2008 housing slump. Lot frontage is narrower, streets are narrower. The street extends just over 2/3 of a mile without a single stop sign or other measure to slow traffic, except for the parking congestion on Kilbourne Drive. Kilbourne is a street with a community playground and numerous children under the age of 12. I believe we'll hear about the 85% rule. I know we have council persons here with younger children or with grandchildren. It would shock me to think that we have a single council person who would think it is all right to have 15% of drivers exceeding the posted speed limit on a narrow town street and endangering the lives of young ones. I ask you to take measures to assure that traffic must drive more slowly on our streets. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ring. Next up, Sarah Burke.
Good evening.
Thank you, Sarah.
My name is Sarah Burke, and I live at 287 Kilbourne Drive, so the other end of Kilbourne from where Lenny is. Much of what I had planned to say, Lenny has addressed, which I'm grateful for, because in my life, I have never been able to speak for 3 minutes on any topic anywhere. So thank you, Lenny, for doing that. Also, with the presentation that we're about to see, there's some things that I plan to say that I probably won't. My quest for traffic control in Kinderton Village began in 2018. We built our home in 2018 and moved in December. In January, and at that point in time, Kilbourne Drive ended at my driveway. There was no bend in the road. There were no homes around the corner. So I was the last house on the right, is what I told people. So it was great because nobody came that didn't live right there. There was no through traffic. In 2020, it became very apparent to my husband and I as we sat on our front porch, not on the back deck, to wave at all of the neighbors going by, that the traffic was going way too fast. I did a petition survey in March, I think it was, of 2020, of all of the homes on Pendleton, Archer, Town Park, and Kilbourne Drive. Every single resident signed it to present to our master board to please do something about the traffic. It was going way too fast, and I believe at that time there were 23 children that lived in that one square block, and the street was barely open. The other thing about that part of Kilbourne Drive, the houses are big. Some of them are 5 bedrooms, some of them are 6 bedroom. They're 3,500 square feet. Big families live in those houses. They come with a lot of children, which is awesome. They also come with a lot of teenage drivers. Our driveway is built for 1 car length, 1. So if you've got 2 or 3 or 4 drivers, you're in the street, as Lenny alluded to. I went to the master board during the pandemic, I believe it was in 2022, and said, please, can we have a stop sign at Pendleton and Kilbourne? They gave me 2 minutes. They told me it wasn't necessary, and they dismissed us. So we continued to watch the traffic grow and get faster and faster. I started meeting with Mayor Cross in 2023. In 2023, he met with Jim and I either 2 or 3 times. I even asked him, what would happen if a stop sign just appeared overnight, if it just happened to be there? Like the neighbors just put it up? He said, go for it. I have no problem with that. But then you risk liability, so we didn't do it. He's told me at that point, I have it in writing from him, that he was going to meet with Mr. Meadwell and discuss Kinderton once again on Kilbourne Drive. It had come up many times. That was in 2023, 3 years ago. In 2024, we reached out to Rick again, right before he left. He said again, he would bring it up again. So this has been a football that has been punted from the town to the master board to the town. And every time I ask the question, they send me back to the other one. And everybody sends us back to the former. So what I'm asking you tonight is give us a damn stop sign. I don't understand why. They can put them in literally about 4 hours. Will people speed up to get to it? Possibly. Will they at least brake and slow down? Probably. If a car is going the speed limit, 25, and hits a child on that new playground with cars parked on both sides of the street, I guarantee you that child will be injured or killed, and it will be on all of yours and our master board's heads, because we have asked for this for 6 years. I have lots of documentation that I'm happy to present to you. I'm happy to answer any questions, and I'm anxious to hear about the study, because we've been waiting for that study for probably 5 months now. So I'm happy. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Burke. Thank you, Ms. Burke. And now it's time for the very timely presentation on the study we've been talking about. Andrew, would you like to do any introductory comments?
I would. I would like to introduce Mr. Bradley Reynolds from STV Engineering. They were the firm that we asked to do this study and to look at traffic calming and speed study in Kinderton Residential as well as Ivy Circle. So, Brad, I'll turn it over to you.
All right. Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. So this evening, this presentation will summarize the Kinderton Village Speed Study and Traffic Calming Effort, including the study purpose, methodologies, our key findings, as well as potential improvement opportunities for the town's consideration. So why are we here tonight? So the goal tonight is not to walk through every detail of the report, but to summarize what we studied, walk through what the data showed, and how the town can use the recommendations as a toolbox over time for potential implementation. So the study area focused on the town streets, residential streets within Kinderton Village and along Ivy Circle. Those are shown by the light blue lines on the map to the right. This also looked at Yadkin Valley Road that provides access right to the entrance of Kinderton Village, and that road is maintained by NCDOT. So if we talk about any potential improvements along that stretch or at that intersection, that would need to be NCDOT coordination required for that. And we'll use the maps tonight to kind of provide some reference points as to where data was collected and to where potential recommendations are being proposed. And also to note that Kinderton Village and Ivy Circle do have different roadway contexts and some different speed findings. So it's not necessarily a one-size-fits-all for what we found from the study. So how the study was completed, we walked through this process, which was based on observed speeds and volume data. This is very much a data-driven process. Field review, so actually observing and looking at the conditions in the field, looking at the prior study comparison from 2015, and then screening potential traffic calming and safety measures. The intent is to base the recommendations on engineering data and field conditions rather than perception alone. So the data collection involved 10 speed volume count locations, which are shown in the numbered red dots on the map to the right. Also, we looked at a field review throughout the study area, and we focused on the neighborhood streets, as we already mentioned, the ones that are highlighted in blue or that aqua color, as well as on Ivy Circle. So we'll talk initially about some of the speed findings that were out there in the field. And the primary speed finding is that Kinderton Village speeds are generally close to the posted 25-mile-per-hour speed limit. Ivy Circle speeds show a different pattern with a higher 85th percentile speed of approximately 37 miles per hour. The key point is that we're not saying there isn't a speeding concern. What we're saying is the data does not show that Kinderton Village generally does operate near the posted 25 mile per hour, while Ivy Circle shows a higher average speed. So the 85th percentile speed, to talk on that a little bit, is a common traffic engineering measure. It means that 85% of observed vehicles were traveling at or below that speed, and it helps identify as a general measure typical high-end travel speeds without focusing on those isolated outliers that we've all witnessed and observed sometimes, but it tries to put that into a larger context of the general population and the speeds that they're traveling at. So how does it compare to the prior 2015 speed study? That prior study did not look at the exact same locations, but it looked at a portion of Kinderton Village that was built out at that time. And what we found were that the prior elevated speed concerns on Old Town Drive and Town Park Drive are not as pronounced based on the recent 2026 speed data. However, that doesn't mean that traffic control, marking, pedestrian, and visibility improvements could remain appropriate consideration in these areas. So what essentially the data is showing that there may be different types of targeted improvements and different options for both Kinderton and Ivy Circle. Also, we did field observations. And we have additional photos throughout the area and the neighborhood. Again, we focused on the subject area roadways. This wasn't an exhaustive walkthrough of every road and alley in Kinderton Village. But from the study area roadways, there were some observations which were that helped us identify some practical improvements that may not be traditional traffic calming, but could still address some neighborhood safety or visibility concerns. Things such as clearer signs, so there's some inconsistency or some faded signage, as you'll see in the upper right-hand corner of the screen there. Also, maybe bringing some things up to standard, like missing an all-way plaque at a all-way stop, just to provide that notification that it is an all-way stop and not a two-way stop. As well as some better stop bar placement. The upper left image there shows a crosswalk with a stop bar kind of right in front of the crosswalk. So there's that kind of conflict of pedestrians and vehicles at the intersection. Some sidewalk and curb ramp gaps. There are some locations where there may be some gaps to fill in for accessibility and things of that nature. And then the parking and visibility concerns right near the park area. It's just something to consider from a visibility from children crossing the street or anyone getting to and from the open space area. So those are some of the general field observations that we noted. So what we considered kind of moving forward in our screening process were different measures, different traffic calming or safety considerations. And again, it's not a one-size-fits-all. Traffic control has a very different purpose than traffic calming versus maybe having a visual gateway into the neighborhood or providing pedestrian accommodations. So this was based on the speed data, the traffic volumes, roadway context. We want to make sure it's appropriate for the roadway context. Pedestrian activity. Another thing that we're thinking about as we're going through these screening of potential treatments is emergency access. We want to make sure that anything is not going to impede fire trucks or other service vehicles if they're, let's say, physical, vertical, or horizontal improvements that you're looking to put into a neighborhood. And then all of these things, again, this toolbox of potential treatments you could draw on over time, depending on the location, the cost, the feasibility, and then obviously availability of funding. So to share a couple of different examples of traffic calming and safety tools or safety treatments. Again, we pulled together these. Again, they're not a one-size-fits-all, but it needs to be context sensitive and just depend on the location. These 8 different images just show some examples of potential enhancements or improvements. The image in the upper left is within the Kinderton Village. It does show the on-street parking with kind of the neck down at the intersections and the daylighting of the intersection for the pedestrians. So, there are some things that Kinderton Village with that on-street parking, with the shorter pedestrian crossings at the intersection, it really helps promote that traffic calming with on-street parking, but also those safer crossings. But at the same time, there may be ability to enhance some of the stop bars, crosswalk markings, considerations of pedestrian warning signs, even this image up there is an RRFB, which is a rectangular rapid flashing beacon. It basically just alerts drivers that there's a pedestrian that is trying to cross and helps provide a little more visual appearance there. The curb ramps and sidewalks in the upper right. Kind of moving down to the bottom of the screen, there are things from a technology standpoint that are an option, like speed feedback signs. Sometimes these could be moved from location to location within neighborhoods or towns to really kind of bring awareness to a driver's speed. The lower 3 images on the lower right, these are really those vertical traffic calming measures. So there's speed cushions, which have a break in the wheelbase, which allows fire trucks to really go through without having to go over the speed cushion. So it basically is more friendly for that emergency access. And then your speed humps and speed tables. That's where you're either going up on a level platform or you're having a speed hump. And then on the right is a raised crosswalk. And this is an example from the city of Raleigh, but it's just showing pedestrian crossing while putting in some traffic calming measure for that raised crosswalk. So again, we're not recommending all these within the study, but wanted to give these part of the toolkit, part of your toolbox to consider. What we also did is look at your peer neighbors and what they're doing from a neighborhood traffic calming standpoint. So what is Greensboro doing, Winston-Salem, High Point, Louisville, Lexington. They all have different guidelines and procedures that they use. So as we move into this potential improvement opportunities, this is just an overall potential recommendations map. And so the map is intended to show potential opportunities for consideration. It identifies, things that aren't necessarily required, but the town may choose to advance none, some, or all of these over time. And on the next 3 slides, we have broken this out into kind of a phase 1, lower cost, quicker implementation to phase 2. And then phase 3 is more that physical traffic calming implementation, which may be a little more costly. So on the next slide, so these are your kind of your lower cost non-physical measures that we identified as potential improvements, particularly in the Kinderton Village area. So phase 1 represents these lower cost items that can improve the consistency and the visibility without really committing immediately to these potentially larger construction treatments. And so as noted before, things like all-way plaques at a all-way stop intersection, changing stop bar placement or enhancing those, putting in crosswalk markings for pedestrians crossing at key locations, refreshing signs that may be faded and aren't as visible as they used to be. And then the technology piece, speed back of those speed feedback signs that could provide some awareness for driver speed. So kind of these next level of types of improvements, these are not necessarily these aren't necessarily going to slow speeds down, but these pedestrian accessibility measures can help with getting across the street safely and traveling throughout the neighborhood. So the curb ramp upgrades, sidewalk repairs where there were some uneven sidewalks, as well as some crossing visibility near the playground areas, and then also the daylighting and parking. So within the Kinderton Village, there's a lot of that on-street parking, and there is the daylighting where cars are not necessarily parked right up to the intersection, but it necks down at the intersection to provide a little bit more of that visibility as you're traveling up to see a pedestrian who may be crossing. So from a physical traffic calming standpoint, these are more of those speed cushions, speed humps, speed tables, primarily. Really, the data really shows to look at selected treatments only where it's supported by the speed data. In Kinderton Village, it's really more to monitor and potentially look at some targeted improvements. But really where we're seeing the higher speed based on the data for traffic calming implementation would be within Ivy Circle, where there's a larger straightaway, higher speeds, and that's a roadway that would more likely require or have the need for more physical speed management based on the data. And so while we're not saying that, one does not have a speeding concern and the other one does, this is kind of, maybe where a good place to start is from considering certain traffic calming measures. So we have a flexible phased approach here. I mean, again, it's looking at some of these lower cost non-physical measures, then potentially phasing in more of the pedestrian accessibility improvements, and then looking at more of those physical traffic calming, vertical, kind of deterrents to slow speeds down. And then I think one of the key things that we found from other peer neighbors as well is, it's important to have that future monitoring and that feedback loop to understand if what you put in place in the field is actually helping address the issues that you were seeing and hoping to address. So if you do put in some sort of traffic calming, speed cushion, speed hump, coming back and looking at it to see, okay, did it really help solve the issue that we were trying to solve here? Okay. So in summary of findings, again, Kinderton Village speeds are generally close to 25 miles per hour based on the speed data that was collected throughout the neighborhood. Broad physical traffic calming is not really recommended in Kinderton Village at this time. But that doesn't mean that there aren't other targeted safety, visibility, or accessibility improvements that could be appropriate for consideration. Ivy Circle shows higher observed speeds and may warrant physical speed management, traffic calming, such as cushions or speed humps. And then the final improvement on locations and timing obviously should be determined by the town and coordinated with neighbors and emergency services and others who may be impacted by those measures. So with that, I thank you and happy to answer any questions.
Well, that's a lot of information, and I thank you for your work, and I think it's a good study. How much data was collected around the Kilburn Street, that around the playground area? Was that, can you be a little bit more specific on exactly what was done in that area?
Sure. Oops. I'm gonna go back just to show the data collection screen here, if you don't mind. So around the playground area, so this will be around number 7 and 8. So we collected speed data really on both of those streets through on both sides of the playground area.
When was, I'm sorry.
No, sorry, just to, obviously that we live in a town that, many would consider a golf cart community, right? So I know there's a lot of golf carts in Kinderton, there's a lot of golf carts that go on Ivy. Does that skew the data at all? Does that throw off the radars, et cetera? Or, is it only motor vehicles? How do you determine it, et cetera?
Yes. So I cannot speak directly to how many golf carts may have.
So golf carts are part of the data?
I am not saying that. No, because right now the data that I have in front of me does not show me the classification data. I just have some of the speed profiles. What I could do is see, because the video was taken to collect that. I can come back and let you know if there was any of that included.
There's a lot of golf carts that go, 20 miles an hour max, maybe.
Right.
At least mine does.
Yeah.
Some of the newer ones go about 30.
Right.
Some of the older ones go about 15. So
Sure.
it just, I think it's important to understand. It sounds like from citizen comments that there's a need to take some necessary measures to reduce the speed in certain areas, but if we're skewing it based on golf carts, I think we need to have a better understanding of that.
Sure. And I'm not saying that we are. I will want to check that just to make sure that that is or isn't, and then can follow up with any information.
Sounds good.
Well, I know we don't want to get too far into the weeds tonight, but I'm curious about how and when the data was collected for these specific areas. Was it 8 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock at night? What kind of time frame are we talking about, and how was it actually collected?
Yes. So the speed and volume data was collected over a 24-48 hour period. It was collected in April 2022, earlier this year. It may have been in 21st, 22nd, 23rd of those timeframes. And then, so that data is generally collected either through video and radar or through pneumatic tubes. So there's different methodologies for collecting the speed and volume data.
Okay, so cameras were installed at some location focusing on these particular data collection points, is that right?
I'll follow up to see if it was the cameras, because normally it's radar or pneumatic tubes.
Okay.
Usually when we're doing.
In Kinderton Village, it was pneumatic tubes.
Okay. And I'll check back.
Can you explain how that works for us people that don't know what's a pneumatic tube?
That's basically a little rubber tube you lay across the street when people go across it.
Correct.
Records their vehicle speed, right?
It does record that based on axle width and that kind of that air pressure changing whenever the tire of the vehicle. So it's able to use that to determine speed classification.
Sure.
And
that's been in use for years and years and years.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
I have a question mainly for staff. What are our next steps after the study?
So you've got this report, you've got recommendations. But also with that report, you've also got some cost estimates of what each of those base elements may cost to make those improvements. I think from a council standpoint is working with the HOAs and identifying those key primary areas that are being identified and taking that toolbox and those costs and see how we start budgeting in to those traffic calming or those safety measures in those residential areas. Similar to kind of like what we've done with the sidewalk program there in Kinderton residential. This council has set aside X amount of dollars each year to specifically address a known issue in a neighborhood. So that's how I would see this. Now, again, this is going to be up to council to move forward with that, but at least you have the toolbox now, you have a cost associated with that, and you're able to implement that and incorporate that into your street maintenance or to set aside for a specific type project for safety enhancements in residential and or Ivy Circle. So as Bradley said, it's not a one size fits all. We have to also look at, what's going to be kind of generally accepted, right? I think that if, a flashing kind of pedestrian cross type ped head, letting drivers know would be good for a motorist. Residential people in their homes would be a distraction. So that may not be a good fit everywhere, right? It may not be that a intersection redesign is possible, that more physical type improvement. So it's really taking that toolbox, taking those associated kind of base costs and seeing how we can implement those over the next 3-year budget cycle each year.
Do we have money budgeted this fiscal year that we can use?
Well, we always have money budgeted for street maintenance.
Okay. And you can use Powell bill funds for things that are in Powell bill eligible streets?
That is actually, those are Powell bill streets there for street maintenance, repair, things of that nature. So you could use some of that money.
Okay.
However, we've got to look at other streets too, right? So, but I think, as a budgeting process, we're still talking about budgets, right? Even though we just finished one, we're already started talking about the next one. So, I think from the staff's perspective, because we did initiate this study, that we'll see a request to council to go ahead and set monies aside to start addressing some of these issues for traffic calming there in Bermuda.
Yeah, I don't want to dominate the conversation here, but if we have an immediate need that we've identified that is not cost prohibitive, we could move this year?
We could.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's all I'll say.
Other comments?
I agree with what Marty's saying. Well, I think we just kind of prioritize this pretty quickly and then go ahead and do what we can do to meet the immediate, more pressing need.
I'll just say too, I think it's timely for us to get this information tonight, this report. I mean, we're meeting on Thursday all day to discuss, to have a planning session. So to take these tools and prioritize those fixes, and it's a good time for us to have that. So, thank you, Bradley.
Thank you, Mr. Reynolds, and thank you, staff, very much for everything you've done, and thank you for those who have been here. Appreciate it very much. Thank you very much. And now, town manager's comments.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll be brief. Just to let council know, the Phase 1 and 2 River Bend sidewalk project that interconnects to our Blue Heron Trail, those bids documents are out. I'm pleased that we've had high interest from contractors wanting to look at those documents. Hopefully that's a good indication that we'll get multiple bids in. As you know, with our bidding process regulations there, we always have to have at least 3 bids to be valid. So really encouraged by that. Those bids will be back August 25th for that. Also, let council know the bid documents for the sewer find and fix work. Those bids will go out August 17th and will be due back September 17th. So again, received a lot of interest into that project too. So hopefully we'll have two projects going on at the same time, kind of in the same area. So coordination of those two projects will be key. So we've got both engineering firms working together on that, working with the club and obviously with town staff on those. So really excited about those two projects happening. So be on the lookout for those and those notifications coming out. So
Great, thank you. Town council comments.
Go ahead, Marty.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. We had some folks at our last meeting who came and spoke on, in favor of a one-year moratorium on data center development. And I asked the town council to consider discussing the item at our agenda meeting, which we had the first of the month, or the end of last month, I'm sorry. So we've developed a few talking points that I would like to pass along. The town of Bermuda Run supports the Davie County Board of Commissioners' decision to adopt a temporary one-year moratorium on data center development. This action is not a rejection of economic development or technology. It is a reasonable pause that allows local governments to understand a rapidly evolving land use before approving projects with long-term consequences. A temporary moratorium gives Davie County the opportunity to plan before it permits. Bermuda Run supports the county taking the time necessary to develop thoughtful standards that balance economic opportunity, infrastructure capacity, environmental responsibility, and the quality of life of our residents. And I'd like to thank the staff for helping us to get that information together and to pass that along at this meeting. Thank you.
Thanks, Marty. Other comments?
I, for one, appreciate the information and the folks who came from Kinderton to speak to us tonight. Thank you for sharing your firsthand observations of what's going on with the traffic calming issues. I feel like we're probably going to have more, well, I'm pretty certain we're going to have more conversation along with our engineer about options and cost-benefit analysis, to use my term, not his. But, I mean, traffic is going to continue to be an issue. I got a question, though, for Andrew, and maybe for the folks in Kinderton. Kinderton is pretty much built out at this point. Is that right?
that's correct.
So there will be no additional construction within that area, which would increase the population within that neighborhood.
That's not true.
That is not necessarily true.
Okay.
It depends upon what happens with the buttonhole piece of property.
Okay, I know about that. Thank you, Lenny. Thanks for reminding me of that. But in essence, my question is, would we anticipate any significant increase in traffic flow in Kinderton in the foreseeable future?
Yes.
And let's consider that as we
Yes.
analyze
I mean,
it.
that's a
very
question.
important
That's
question.
a question that we'll address with staff and
Yeah.
with the engineers.
Yeah.
Okay. Beyond that, I have no other question. I thank you folks for being here, and Bradley, thank you for your presentation. It's been very helpful.
Yeah.
And Tiffany, welcome. Glad to have you.
Other comments? I just have a couple comments. Number one, just to reiterate how important it is for this particular council, traffic safety, kid safety, whether it's the golf carts, which we've been addressing, e-bikes. And thank you very much, Brad, for coming, and thank you for the friends from Kinderton as well, and we'll be taking this up seriously in a timely manner. Just want to also thank everybody who showed up for the 250th party that we had a couple of Sundays ago in the town square, and thank you so much for that. It was just a wonderful occasion, and I think, Carson, your kids were running in and out of the snow foam, and we had a band, and the scouts were serving hamburgers and hot dogs, and I think you've seen some pictures on social media, but thank you so much for everybody participating in that celebration. And stay tuned, we're going to be having some celebration announcements coming up as well. Speaker series, September, we're going to have Dr. Johnson Brown, Vice President of Workforce and Community Engagement at Davie Community College. Jesse mentioned that you're partnering with DDCC, and they're doing a lot related to workforce and development, so excited to hear that. And then in October, continuing our emphasis on safety, Deputy John Hobson will be here talking about safety items, golf carts, e-bikes, traffic calming, a lot of different things there. Then we're going to have Donna Lamont, President of the Bermuda Run Garden Club here in November to tell us about the incredible work they've been doing for 42 years. And then in December, celebrating Christmas in Bermuda Run. And then stay tuned for 2027, because our speaker series, Voices of Our Community, will continue. So, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. So. Good. Hey, good seeing you, man. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you so much. We'll be in touch. Okay, yep, thank you. Thank you, Bradley. No, but- Yep. Projects too.
Who's bringing breakfast Thursday morning? I think it's Andrew.
I thought you were cooking.
That's part of his responsibility.
I thought you were, you're going to.
Is there a dish in the fries? There is.